Most of you guys that watch my videos often would know that I take interest in new motoring technologies. So whenever I find a new or weird engine, I research it, and if the technology is cool, I'll make a video on it. Well, today we are taking a look at an engine that takes an entirely new take on the internal combustion engine, the Co Axial engine. Now, before I explain how the Co Axial engine works, its pros and cons, I have to quickly explain the traditional internal combustion motor first. This will help you to understand the differences between the two. Now, I'm not going to do a 1000-word essay on the internal combustion motor, so it's going to be a quick summarization. So, in a traditional internal combustion engine, you have pistons in a line, a V, or opposing each other. Now, these pistons move up and down, spinning a crankshaft. Now, what makes these pistons go up and down? Well, explosions. So how do we make explosions? Simple. Air, fuel, and spark. Now, with a naturally aspirated engine, the only way for an engine to get air is through the suction created on the downstroke of each piston. The car then injects fuel into the combustion chamber, and then comes the spark. Boom! That energy then pushes the piston down, spinning the crankshaft. Like I said, it's super summarized. There is a bit more to it, but that's the gist of how a traditional internal combustion motor works. Now to a coaxial motor. A coaxial motor still uses explosions to move the pistons up and down, but where a traditional internal combustion engine turns the linear motion of the piston into rotational force by using a movable conrod, the coaxial engine doesn't. The coaxial motor keeps all the linear force. The pistons are placed around in a circle, and they just move straight up and down within their own cylinder. The cylinder groups rotate slowly next to a monoplane ported surface. This ported surface houses the air, fuel, and spark chambers. Now the pistons move a star-shaped element called a reciprocator. Now this means all the moving parts move in a wave-like motion. This reciprocator then spins the crankshaft, which means you can spin a driveshaft, which can drive the wheels. Now, what is the advantages of using this weird technology over a traditional system? Well, the first one is that this 5-cylinder system only uses 3 spark plugs, but it has the same amount of power strokes per rotation as a 6-cylinder engine. So, a smaller, lighter engine that in theory can make the same power as a 6-cylinder traditional motor. Next is moving parts. Remember, the more moving parts you have, the more wear you'll have in your engine. Now, because this engine has no camshafts or valve train, you are eliminating a whole bunch of failure points within the engine. Also, because there are much less parts, the engine will weigh less than its equivalent traditional internal combustion motor. Remember, the lighter the car is, the less power is needed to move the car. Another pro is almost no vibration, which also helps for longevity of the engine and just smoothness of operation. And then lastly, fuel flexibility. The current engine can be run on any suitable spark ignited fuel. It is expected with further development to be able to operate on all appropriate fuels, including ethanol, methanol, bioethanol, LPG, CNG, hydrogen, kerosene, and diesel. So there are a hell of a lot of pros using this engine, so why don't we? I mean, this technology exists. Duke, a company in New Zealand, have been building these since 1993. Well, here is the biggest problem. The traditional internal combustion engine has been researched and improved upon for years and years. We understand them really well, and we have brought the manufacturing costs way down and improved their efficiency and power delivery, whereas this tech has been around since 1993. But the amount of development, testing, and progress is far inferior to the traditional systems. For instance, a 1000cc 4-cylinder inline engine from a superbike produces 180 to 190 horsepower to the crank, where the same capacity axial motor only produces 125 horsepower. And that's not where it stops. Because there is much less resources invested in them, it will most likely have some teething problems, like failing joints, and with a sliding head, I think the longevity of the head gasket is a genuine cause for concern. So in conclusion, I think this is a great idea on paper, but because there isn't a huge push behind making this tech viable, I don't think its major flaws will be fixed. And more than that, I don't think it will ever be able to match the traditional internal combustion motor, just because we have perfected the technology over the last 100 years. But let me know what you think about the coaxial engine down below. Do you like it? Do you see the same problems I do? Or do you think this is actually something that people will improve upon and be a viable option in the future? Remember, because it's in a circle, you can make it much smaller and you can use it as a range extender in hybrid cars. So it's not just for fully internal combustion cars, it can be used in many applications. So if you just think broad spectrum, it might actually work. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video and this type of content, leave a like and subscribe. Now remember, I make many videos on future technologies, so if you like it, just go to my channel. There must be more stuff that you like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?